ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Alrighty. Call to order the meeting of the Recreation Committee on January 25th, 2023 at 6:04. And we'll just go around the table and around the Zoom. Trevor Redinger, Chair.
Marcus Benner, Recreation Director.
Dusty Starr.
Kelly Burton, Secretary.
Excellent. Glad y'all can make it. Citizen comments.
I didn't have any.
Fix the hockey rink. Everything else. I'm just kidding.
Nobody even knows about it. I haven't advertised.
I noticed. We have to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was October 26th.
Yep.
And everyone should have a copy
Yep.
in front of them or an email. And whenever everyone is ready, we'll entertain a motion.
If no one has questions, I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Giddy up. All in favor? Did you raise your hand, Kelly?
I did.
Awesome, thank you.
She wrote them. She approves. All right. Guess it's my turn.
That's why we're here.
Yep. Lost it. All right. So I've kind of dumbed down my report a little bit because I found that we go through my report and then we repeat everything when we go through all the agenda items. So
Do a lot of that.
yep. So pickleball has been going extremely well. It's our best numbers we've ever had, and as silly as it sounds, as a grown man, I contribute all the excess to my mother, because when we shut down last summer, she wanted to keep playing, so she played all over the mid-coast, and everywhere she went, she told people about Waldoboro. And now we've had 3 nets going before, like a couple weeks here and there, and then it's like 8, and then we're down to 4, and then it's 2. You never know what we're gonna have. And this year, we've had 3 nets all the time. We've had as many as 20 people there at a time. It's been full, and it's been fun.
And that takes place up at the church.
Up at the church,
Yep.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 11.
Is there a cost to that?
$5.
Yep.
Yep. So I mean, every time we get 12 people, that's $60. So maybe bringing in $100 or so a week on pickleball.
What are the dates and times, did you say?
Just Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 11 a.m.
Okay. And are reservations required?
Not at the moment. We'll see. So I think there's 2 ways places do it. Some places do reservations, like the MRC. If you don't sign up like when they open them for the month, within like the first 5 minutes, you're not getting a slot. And then there's other places that just let anybody come. And if if we have 3 nets, which allow 12 people to play at a time, and we have 30 people aren't going to have a good time, and probably a lot of them aren't going to come back, and then we're not going to have a problem.
Right.
So I don't know.
Self-moderating.
Well, if your
Self-control.
mother keeps spreading the word, then you may have to start taking reservations.
We'll see.
Get
Are
another
there
net.
other locations you could expand to, or?
Not at the moment.
No.
We'll talk about that later. Maybe some outside space in the future, but at the moment, no. The only other possibility would be to open up more times.
What about more space? More nets, more space there?
No, 3 is the max
3 is
in that
what it
gym.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe the church would be open to letting us do like a night session.
I'd like that.
Yeah. There's also Miller School, but they're hard to get into.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's getting.
That's
Yeah.
reserved for youth basketball.
All the time. Yeah.
Marcus, looking into a nighttime session at the church might be a good idea regardless.
Yeah.
For people who work and aren't able to do it during the day.
Yep. So that's been the benefit of the church, is we've been able to use them during the day. You can't use Miller during the day because the kids are there. I haven't really had people requesting a nighttime thing, but Trevor is, so I can look into it.
Only on Thursdays, though.
Only on Thursdays. So I know some other places that like it. I know they play. I go over to hockey at the MRC, and we play from 9 to 10 at night. And when I get out of there, they're still playing pickleball
Crazy.
sometimes. So there's people that would play for sure.
not showing any indication of slowing down.
No, no. So the problem is starting something like that, then I'm there every.
Well, that's
I'm there every
first.
Tuesday night, which is fine for the first 6 weeks, and then my wife gets mad at me.
Right. No,
But it's
fine.
part of my job, but
Well, we do
Yeah.
adult rec volleyball in Warren,
yeah,
and we run it. We run it ourselves. Like
Right.
you have to have a core group of people that can
yeah,
take care of the key and put the net up. And
right,
I'm
aside
sure
from
you'd
that,
find if people wanted to come and play,
especially
they
at
would
pit,
do that.
especially at pickleball.
yeah.
I mean,
Alright.
at the church is a different story though, right? Because it's like
Yeah,
it's not like it's our building.
It's
that's
not
the
our
school.
building. They gave me a key when I ran basketball there last year.
Right.
And I'm sure basketball's gonna be coming back up this spring. Like we ran it from March through like June last year.
Yeah.
And so that was like 4 months. Like I said, by the end of it, my wife was happy to have me home on Tuesday nights.
Right.
But it was
We got a new committee member. Maybe he wants to run
basketball.
I'm always looking for things.
especially basketball.
Right.
You don't have enough to do in the evening.
Is that the program that Vic started? Did the town take it over, or did?
No, not anything Vic started. It was just a pickup basketball. I used to run one at Miller School,
Yep.
and it was just I used to do it as a precursor to the league that was up there. I'd run it September, October. Guys would come, kind of get ready for the season, and it was just one night a week, just pick up basketball. You never know what you're gonna get. But I had some guys say, hey, let's do pickup again. We haven't had the league, so I just started doing pickup up there. I think it was Tuesday nights maybe, and we had the same. We played for 4 months and had the same 10, 12 people there every week.
Oh wow.
And so we had a good time. It was a lot of guys my age or a little older that just liked playing, and it was good basketball, but it wasn't.
Any basketball is good basketball.
Yeah, it
Marcus,
wasn't.
right?
It was just I don't know. It was laid back and fun. We had a good time. And Miller had the desks set up last year 6 feet
Yeah,
apart
that's
for
right.
lunch, so we couldn't use Miller. So
But
the
that's
church was good enough to
Yeah.
let us use that. But Miller's open again if we can get in there. But
I like next year. You reserve your spot early.
yeah,
Tell rec basketball to pound sand. Warren hasn't been like normally during basketball season. We'd have to start later, so they
Yeah.
could have a practice slot. We didn't see anybody this year over there, so
Wow.
that was interesting.
yeah.
Well, it might have been cheerleading locked up a lot of that, and I think they make it done earlier possibly.
Maybe,
Yeah. But yeah, no, we were running practices until 8 o'clock last year, and
oh yeah, no,
and
it
all
used to be
sports
used to
are
be the
so limited.
case.
Yeah,
but,
so limited. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from pickleball. The ice rink out back is up, but it is not skatable. It's been a struggle. We filled it up once, it blew apart, water went everywhere. We fixed what we thought the main structural problem was, and we filled it up again. One of the sides kind of blew out, but it's already frozen, so there's still ice in it. But with the mixed temperatures, it really hasn't frozen solid. There's still water underneath, and so with that little bit of structural damage, the water keeps leaking out and the ice keeps sinking. So I'm waiting for maybe tomorrow, or when I'm actually waiting for it to get cold. Once it gets cold, if it all freezes, then I can get rid of the outside. There's like an outside piece of ice kind of holding stuff in. If I can get rid of that outside piece of ice
Move the-
without the water coming out, then I can push the liner back up and maybe get it back in place. But it's been a struggle. So
Is it the liner itself? I mean, do we need a new liner for next year? Or?
no, the liner's fine. There's like plastic boards that are like 18, 24 inches tall, and they link together kind of like a door hinge. They go in, and one side of the plastic has like 4 knobs that go down, and then the other side has 4 holes, and you just put them in and they slide down and lock together. And one of the sides popped open. I think the pressure from the water or the ice just expanded it out. But all the there's black triangle braces on each piece, and they all have like 24-inch pieces of rebar down into the ground. So the ice rink as a whole is in place and it's not going anywhere, but we have one 3-foot section of board that's popped out on one end. Because it's so frozen in places, you know, it hasn't all run out. You know, if it was water, it'd probably just all run out. So it's stayed together. I just haven't been able to get it back together for it to be safe. But I'm just kind of waiting for the right weather to do that and a little bit of help. And Public Works has been busy plowing for 2 weeks now.
Oh, God, yeah, they've just, I mean,
Nonstop?
they've really done a great job. I mean, there's only 5 or 6 of them, and they've been around the clock, so.
Yep, for sure. The Christmas light contest went well. We had 4 or 5 houses again. Chris from 44 Madomic Terrace was our unanimous winner. He's one of our pickleball regulars, so well, hopefully catching up with him tomorrow to get him his 2 trophies.
Cool.
Because I bought one for the commercial entries, and I didn't have any, so I'm just giving him both
Earned it.
trophies. But because they both say first place. But yeah, he had by far the most lights out of any of the houses, but they were all good.
Is there a reason, I know that we could talk about this before Christmas next year, but is there a reason, he's won, I think, the last 2 or 3 years in a row, which is great, and he does do a phenomenal job, but if the same person wins every single year, people are gonna stop entering?
Yeah. This is the first time he's won.
Oh, I thought he won 2 years ago, I thought he won,
I don't think.
I swore that
Maybe.
he won last year.
Maybe he won 2 years ago. I've lost track.
Does Bill Trahan not enter?
No,
Trahan
doesn't.
never does.
Trahan doesn't
It's a
enter.
professional division.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he should have just entered commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Last year it was Sam Moody up.
That's
near
right,
Moody's.
yes, the Moody's one, same one.
Oh, that's
Won.
right.
Chris,
Okay, yeah.
Chris got second, and I did talk to Chris, and he's like, now that I've won, I might not enter next year. I just wanted to get it out there so people knew it was back there. So, but if we have our regulars not enter, then
Well, I mean, we could, again,
Yeah.
that's this next year, but we could think about doing, something about a lights display. They're not for judging, but they
Yeah.
can still be part of the map.
yeah, maybe,
And Trahans could be on that for the same thing.
yeah, could be. I'd like to get more on the map. We went down, not this year, but last year we went down to Booth Bay to the Gardens Aglow, and they had a map they were handing out of all the ones in Booth Bay, and there were like 45 houses down there that were in their competition.
Well, this wasn't part of our competition, but there were at least a dozen houses just on 220 and down 32 that had really nice lights.
Yeah.
That didn't enter. But I mean, could we do a map even if these are people who aren't entering in a contest? We're not telling them to go knock on anybody's door. We're just.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can put people's addresses out there without their permission.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know. But anyways, it went well. I'm hoping one of these years it'll break through and we'll have like 10 applicants and then build from there, but we'll see. Ski club has flopped so far again this year. Also, I mean, it's partly weather. We've had a couple rough Fridays. But so far only 2 or 3 participants, and we actually haven't sent a group yet because of the weather. But we'll see if we can get some more. I'm gonna try to keep pumping the advertising, but it was the same last year. Just 2 to 3 people all year went, whereas I remember before that we had like 10, 12 people that went. So I don't know where they all went, but we're struggling to keep that program going. And K2 basketball starts on Saturday, and we currently have about 30 kids signed up. So, kind of bouncing back. We had about 20 last year.
Yeah.
And last year was, was it our first year back after the pandemic?
So,
But I don't know. Last year was rough too because we couldn't use Miller. And so we used the middle school, but then the middle school had that water issue, and then we ended up in Warren at the end of we were all over the place. But so this year, hopefully just at Miller, and it starts this Saturday.
Okay.
And that is my report.
thank you.
Do you typically accept the report or no?
No.
Okay.
Give it.
Yeah, he gives it, we take it. Community center update.
Yep. Community center update is, I've been told to be ready with our needs and our space requirements. We've already done that.
Right.
So I'm just kind of sitting on it, and I can fill Dusty in later. But we're still waiting on a location, but I've been told to be ready, so I think we're,
Been told by whom, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was
Julie.
curious.
Okay.
so we're working on location stuff. It's just nothing's in stone yet, so.
Because we got a grant, we have funding, we have a
$1 million grant to
$1
get it
grant.
started that we have to use by like 2025 or something like
Right.
that, which seems far away, but
It's not.
it can sneak up.
Well, and with the
This is the
facility.
federal grant that Senator King.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
And there was money, or there was on the ballot last go around. Did that pass? We looked at appropriating funds to go towards.
That was a
was that the-
that was our questionnaire,
the
our survey.
Non-binding
essentially.
ballot,
Yes.
like
Oh, okay.
three elections ago or something
Yep.
like that now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's, we've been working on this a long time. We keep getting put back. So our original plan was, hey, we're gonna build this community center. We're gonna do it at the rec fields. We own all the way up to the trees up there. And we had DEP come down
Too many wetlands.
in the middle of August. It hadn't rained in like 5 weeks, and they said it was all wetlands and we couldn't do anything with it. So now we were ready to put out a RFP for an architect, and then we got held up.
Is that something that was set in stone? I mean, there are permitting, I mean, we do a lot of wetland impact permitting through my work, and, I mean, there are wetlands that you can't touch, and then there are wetlands that you can with a
Yeah.
permit, and,
Yeah.
you know, certain fees and compensation, and
Yeah.
that was a no.
As far as I got told, it was just no.
No, yeah.
And I knew right there, like next to the fields was wet. I was surprised that up the hill
Yeah.
was.
I
It
wouldn't,
is
well, before I started doing this kind of work, I would have been like you, but it's amazing to me what actually qualifies as a quote-unquote, well, not even quote-unquote, as a wetland per
Yeah.
their definition. It's
Yeah.
a lot more area than it does,
Yeah.
not just cat nine tails and standing water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yep.
I wasn't shocked to hear that. I saw the wetland flags out there
Yeah.
when I was at a ball game, and
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, so that was our plan, and then so that got put on hold, and then actually we talked to the school with one initial meeting about behind their ball field and behind their playground, there's space, and that's not wetlands, I guess. So we talked about either working with them or getting some land off them. And then there's another location in town that we're working on as well, that I haven't been told about yet, but it's in the works, I guess. So that's what we're kind of waiting on to decide between the two.
Completely right off the 80 Gray site to me always seemed like it had potential with the ball field there,
Yeah.
with tennis courts there.
As far as I know, the town is still working with Volunteers of America to turn that into housing.
Yep.
But yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where, I mean, how long have we been a committee? Like 3 or 4 years now?
Yeah, they formed this committee, or reformed this committee to help develop a plan for a community center.
Right. And so we got to the point where we did that initial survey, and people were for it, and so we started putting together space stuff, and then the pandemic hit. And then after the pandemic, my boss is like, oh, interest rates are way down, maybe now's a good time. Did the non-binding ballot, and it passed, and so we moved forward again, and then the location fell through. So this is like the third time
Setback, yeah.
that
Well,
we're,
now interest rates are moving, so.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But we do have
But
the,
no, we also have a $1 million grant to help us, we didn't have that before, so.
right, so hopefully it's moving along, but that's kinda, as far as I know, things are, in the next little bit, we should be hearing something and be able to kind of move forward.
Round figures, what do you estimate, or have you guys gotten to the point of what sort of money would you need realistically to fund?
So when we did the non-binding ballot, sorry?
Coffin.
I was coughing,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
When we did the non-binding ballot, we put out options. So, Julie came up with the numbers, and I think it was kind of a guesstimate, but we had a 22,000 square foot building, which is what we'd hoped to build, which had everything a standard community center would have. You know, gym, multi-purpose
Multifunction,
rooms, kitchen, office space, lobby, locker rooms, and then like a little bit of a fitness center. And so that was like the $6 million option, and then we did there was a $4 million option and or a $3 million, $4 million option and a $2 million option, and it was worded as, hey, are you in favor of a community center? Yes or no? A yes passed. If you are, do you approve this much, or this much? And it was, if you want this building, this is how much it's going to cost. And people voted, I don't remember the exact numbers. It was kind of close, but the $2 million one is the one that passed. And so I think it was, if I had to remember, it was like the $2 million was like 50%, and then the other two were like 25 each. Like, so if you know, I think there's some wiggle room, you know, without, you know, really blowing stuff out of the water. But especially with the $1 million grant, you know, maybe you can, you know, some people had talked about, oh, that could cut costs. I think maybe we can get a little bit more by, you know.
Mhm.
Well, if you're gonna do it, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, do it and do it right. I don't know. Not
Right.
to-
Yeah, I'm with you. You're not gonna sell me on it. But even if it's phased or whatever, but that's so we'd been talking, you know, 2 million plus $1 million is 3. People, you know, it passed. It was different times, but it passed pretty favorably. So, you know, if you throw them out one option of, you know, 4 or 5 million, do they bite for that? Who knows? But it's
Well, we do still, that was a non-binding resolution, so we would still have to, the
Yeah.
town still has to approve any,
Right.
before we spend any money at all, right?
right. Yeah, it was not. It was non-binding, which I think goes both ways. Like we can't do anything without taking it back to the voters. And yes, it gave
It gives us good direction.
right.
gives
It gave
good
us
direction.
great direction, but also it wasn't binding on our end either. We don't have to build them. We don't have to put forward a building for 2 million. We can say, hey, that's not going to cut it. We can do a little more. And if they say no, then it's no. But yeah, I don't know how much you'd get for 2, really. Even
Well,
if
it sounds like a lot of money, but this day and age, it
It's
isn't.
not.
$2 million does not go far.
No. So yeah, that's kind of the community center update. Just kind of hurry up and wait. I can send you the estimated space we had,
Mhm.
but like I said, it was 22,000 square feet. A full size gym is 11,000 square feet, and then the rest of it was all the stuff I just talked about. Two multi-purpose rooms, a gym, a kitchen, some office space, bathrooms, storage.
One floor, or would they look at some office spaces up above?
I think it would be looking like kind of just because of the gym, it would be like either a 2-floor or like a built into a hill like gym with 1 floor on, you know, walk
And
out
then indoor
base.
track.
Yeah.
We talked about indoor track.
Indoor
as well.
track.
Indoor track over the gym.
Similar
That-
to like before they added on to the CLC over there.
Yeah.
Like that first space that they have with the track that goes
Yeah,
around.
they have a track that goes around, just something elevated out of the way. But yeah, I don't know how much all this would cost.
Marcus, is the potential partnership with Maine Health and or Head Start off the table?
Nope. Lincoln Health's still looking to do something in Waldeboro. And I don't know about Head Start. I haven't heard about them, but Lincoln Health's still around. It's just a location thing.
It's just that was always gonna be a way for us to help possibly cut some costs by sharing space with them.
Yep. I think it still is.
Good.
All right. We've been putting this off. Maybe we put it off again. Jim's not here. Committee vice chair discussion. So since Troy left, Trevor's become the chair, but Trevor was the vice chair, so we need a vice chair. But it's your first day.
Or a chair, unless you want to be chair. Just saying.
I
Jim's
think we could just elect Jim or Raymond, they're not here.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I think we just push it off.
I'm good saving that till our first full meeting.
Yeah. Get everybody here, and then
Find out about.
and then we just lock the doors and nobody gets out until we have one.
Find out about Ray too before next.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta call Ray.
I mean, what does?
You're
what
looking at
would
it.
Doesn't entail anything above other than a
you
title.
You run the
If
meeting. You run the
if
meeting.
I
if
resign,
Trevor
you're
can't.
on deck.
You
That's
run.
that-
the only
but that
reason.
never happens.
That's what they told you, right? When you,
Yeah, that.
Just like Little League, man, vice president was like the way to go.
I'm in favor of waiting until everyone's
Of
here.
course
but
you are.
Yeah. If Trevor can't make a meeting, the vice chair would run the meeting. But I mean,
Marcus runs it if I'm not able to.
yeah,
it's fine.
I cover the majority of the speaking anyways.
Yep.
So, it's now that Troy's gone.
Pushing it off.
All right, we'll keep going. Playground update.
Actually,
Oh,
about appointments, I mean, do we wanna talk about replacing Karen?
We can. Yeah. I'm down for a list of people. Like I said, I talked to these guys before we turned the camera on, and I know I already talked to you about it. I threw it out there to Ryan McNally. I haven't heard back from him yet. He didn't seem super interested. And then I talked to Kelly, and like I said, I told these guys as well. Lindsay Herring was a good name for the list. And then I thought of Ryan Snell. He's got kids in programs and.
Lindsay or Chris, I mean, her husband, either one of them.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Nicole Fallon.
Yep.
She's got young kids in our program. So there's a few
Any-
names.
Any regular pickleballers?
Regular
in Waldoboro
pickleballers?
that might be. I mean, because we got the youth sports market cornered.
Yeah.
Karen was our.
Yeah.
rep.
Well,
Karen
and that's,
was
yeah,
a-
that's kind of what I'm
yeah.
getting at, Kelly.
Yeah.
Like, I liked her representation on the board from
Yeah.
that perspective,
Yeah.
or the committee. Sorry, not a board.
You're gonna be our new pickleball guy, right?
It's not. It's during the workday. I mean, I've been watching the TikToks,
Yeah.
but I've
I
yet
mean-
to step on a court.
Well, but your point is a good one.
Yeah.
Someone from,
Yeah.
another segment of the community.
Yeah. I
Might
mean,
make some sense.
the majority of our pickleballers, I would say, are not Waldoboro residents. Chris actually is. He's
Yeah.
maybe.
Just tie some strings to that trophy.
Yeah, I could see. I don't know. He was he worked in Rockland at the school. He was a guidance counselor. He's retired, so maybe it'd be something he'd be interested in. My mom is another one. She's a Waldoboro resident.
Yeah.
I know.
That could be good.
She's obviously enthusiastic, promoting promoting
Yeah.
recreation in Waldoboro.
Yeah, I don't know. we can find somebody else.
In other words, you're not going to ask.
No,
but
she does not watch these.
Is that
Yeah,
your phone ringing?
yeah. I can mention it to Chris. That's not a bad idea. I think Ryan's gonna turn me down, but I didn't know how we wanted to do it. You know, when Troy left, I reached out to Dusty, and he said yes. So I didn't advertise it.
Right.
Do we want to reach out to one person, or do we want to reach out to five
Well-
and have them duke it out in interviews?
I'm concerned about potentially losing Ray.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then I'm really in favor of beating the bushes again. Try to find a.
fine.
I'm not sure we'll get back up to what our original number was. But
Yeah, I would love to get back to 7. That was, I mean, when Karen sent me a text and was like, I'm stepping down, and it was like, I mean, I got back to the office, I emailed Dusty, I said, we need you. Like,
Right.
you said yes 4 months ago. Fill out the application.
Now's the time.
I agree with Trevor. I think if Raymond is not gonna be able to participate anymore and that we got 2 positions to fill, let's open it up to the public.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of people who've moved into Waldoboro in the last couple of years, and so that could be a nice way to get new people more involved in the town business, and, yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Awesome.
I'll reach out to as many of them as I can.
Is it something you could advertise on the website as well?
I can.
Run something in the Lincoln County, stuff like that? Is that where you?
Yeah, I don't know
Throw
if we
it in.
still run stuff in Lincoln County.
Enhance Waldoboro and
Yeah.
everybody and their brother.
Yeah. Yeah, we advertise on the
See ya.
website. Like, if we're really struggling to fill, like, a job, like, they'll put an ad up in Lincoln County, but I don't think they do it for committees. They usually charge us for ads like that.
I share all the rec committee stuff into the three different Waldeboro Facebook groups, and I don't know if that results in anything, but there's usually lots of reactions to the posts. So
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad somebody shares them into those groups. I'm not in any of them, so
I
will.
go in to share this stuff, and then
Yeah, when I get
Alrighty, on to the playground.
when I got hired here, I was talking to a lady and I was like, I'm sharing it on my rec Facebook page, and she's like, oh no, you got to get into, I don't even remember which one it was back then. She's like, you got to get into that. That's where everybody is. And so I joined the group and I had it on my phone for like a month, and there was so much whining and complaining and drama on there. Every time I opened it up, it was something else. I couldn't take it, so I left the group. Now there's 3 of them.
Right.
if we do end up wanting to, if we have 2 vacancies, or even if we just have the one, what about putting some flyers up in the pharmacy and the bakery, Perch Bakery and Moody's and, some of the other businesses, just seeing if they'll let us put a flyer up. I mean,
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
bulletin. I know Moody's has a bulletin board. I don't know about the pharmacy. Sorry, I know Moody's has a bulletin board. I don't know about the pharmacy, but
well, and I think Lynn at Perch would be more than happy to put something up, and Jeff at Venero's might be as well. Or I don't know, can we put something up at the library? It would be really, really nice to get more people in Waldeboro involved in working with town projects.
yeah, could try all those things.
Alright. Good job, Dusty. Alright.
Woke me up.
Well, initially I thought the meeting was at 7, so I set that reminder. And then I looked at the agenda when I got home and said, oh no, I better, anyway.
Yeah.
6.
Playground.
All right. So I will reach out to the people we mentioned, and then I'll advertise as well. And see who we get. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Move on. All right.
Yeah.
Playground update. So that we sold Friendship Street School, and some of that money we set aside for a playground that we're gonna put at the rec fields where the batting cage was.
Yep.
So at the moment, I'm getting quotes from as many different companies as I can. Julie got a quote from Cedar Works. I got a quote from a company called Willie Goat. They're out of Alabama.
Hey, that's my home state.
Yeah, you know anything about Willie Goat?
No, unfortunately, I do not.
So yeah, I'd say they're more of a national company, but they gave us, based on the pictures, it looks like the biggest bang for your buck and the cheapest option.
That one's metal, right?
It's metal and
Willie Goat was
plastic,
metal.
and they'll install it,
Ooh.
and it still comes in under some of the other ones for a lot more money or a lot less money. But they're out of Alabama or somewhere down Georgia or somewhere, and so Julie's concerned, like, how are they going to do that? Is it going to end up costing us more money? Are they using, where they're a
Must
bigger
have a
company? Are
contract.
they using inferior materials? Like, it just, where they're so far away, it kind of
Just check it out.
sketched us out a little bit.
Right.
So I reached out to Maine Parks and Rec, and the Maine Parks and Rec lady sent it out to all the Parks and Rec departments in the state, and I got a bunch of different stuff sent to me, and there were like 2 or 3 companies that seemed to be pretty consistently used throughout the state.
Yep.
So I reached out to them. I'm waiting on a quote back from the one. The other one sent me 2 already.
Oh.
And they're similar style to the Willie Goat one, but and they're local. That company's out of Mass, but they do a lot of work in Maine.
Right.
But it's a lot less for a lot more money. So
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. So Julie's thinking Cedar Works might be the best option because they're kind of on the same level. At least you get a little more for your money, but it's wood. So I'm
Right.
kind of sketched out by that.
So is this for just a rehab, or is it for a completely new playground?
Brand
Com- completely new.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only public playground that we had in town was at Friendship Street School, and so when that property sold, we took all that equipment down, and it was all garbage. I went up to Public Works to look at it, and they tore it up pretty good when they were disassembling it. But they said they pulled the swing out, and one of the poles just like fell in half.
Right.
Like, and so the only playground we really have in town is the one at Miller School, which you can't use during the day because of school. So we were hoping to build a new playground at the rec fields. It'd be good for parents that have kids watching games, but then it's also not on a school site. So during the day,
If you want to go play, you can.
some parents with some younger kids can get out there.
Well, I guess that was a thought that was hitting me is, have you considered some partnership with the school? But that's the downside is,
Yeah,
They use it during the day.
Yeah.
they use it during the day.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm waiting on. I'll get once I get that last quote in, I'll talk to Julie about it, and if we haven't made any decisions by the time we meet next, I'll run it this way. That company out of Mass, though, they did have. You had to buy it by January 31st, and then they said they came out with a new set of sales for the next quarter.
Right.
But it was, so basically it was pretty similar to the one they sent me in the quote, but it was a lot cheaper. But there's no, it's like a leftover sale or something like that. Like there's no color, like what you see is what you get, I guess. Which I don't care if it's like $30,000 cheaper.
We're not trying to make it match to our school's color theme or something.
Right, exactly.
What are you looking at? I mean,
So
generally speaking,
for money,
yeah.
yeah. What I asked them was a single structure. There's not enough room there for like a structure and some swing. Like swings take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
So we're looking for like a single climber structure with some slides and somewhere in the ballpark of 50,000
Yeah.
with, with installation and everything probably not going over like 70. And so the one, I can go get the papers if you guys want to see them, but the
Just curious more than anything.
the Willie Goat one reminded me of Friendships playground now. It's kind of big, got a bunch of slides, pretty similar size to that. It felt like, and I think the quote was like 70,000 installed, like everything. And the one, sorry.
Also, do we have permits and everything for this? I mean, is the ball field permitted for something like that?
We haven't got that far. We're just getting quotes. I'm
Liability insurance and all that kind of jazz?
yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about insurance, or maybe Julie's done it and hasn't talked to me about it. She just told me to get quotes. That's
Well, they must have had
Yeah.
some insurance policy on the
On the
Friendship
other one.
Street School site, right?
Yeah, I would think.
Have you talked to the Friendship School to figure out what they ordered or who they ordered from, or
Yeah,
even
that-
like the YMCA's?
Yeah, that was my next call.
Yep.
Was the school, because that friendship one's not too old.
Right.
But also Brian.
It's a good size too.
Brian
Brian Rice, Mike.
he's at the school now, and I think they put that in before he worked
Oh,
there.
a long time.
Huh?
Long time.
Yeah, it's been in there a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I thought about just walking over and trying to see if there's
Yep.
like a tag on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty big. Like we don't need anything that big, but something,
No.
something
That's a
some
pretty
bigger
cool- that's
slides.
pretty
The
cool.
ones they sent us were like too small. Like it was more Warren-esque, but smaller. Like like 8-foot slide, not even like a 6-foot slide and a 3-foot slide, and it was like one piece, like something a church would
Right.
have or something like that. Like it was a lot smaller, and the quote was like 75,000 for just materials. It's like,
Wow, that seems like a lot.
yeah, that's what I thought. So we'll see where it goes. Cedar Works is nice because it's local, but
Right.
there's other issues with wood and.
And I'd be apprehensive, just how that's gonna hold up
Yep.
long term.
Yep, I'm with you. But that's the update.
Okay.
5.4 Foster Field tennis courts and Sylvania update.
Please see your handout.
Huh?
Please see your handout.
Yeah, we can look at the handout. So
Right? Or am I
yeah,
jumping
I don't
ahead?
remember. No, that's in here. Yeah, there's handouts. This is Sylvania stuff. I haven't joined their committee, but I've been going to the Sylvania meetings because they had Max did a survey on the last ballot about what should be
Yep.
at Sylvania, and low impact recreation is what won, so to speak. And so we're talking about what can go in there. And so the Sylvania committee's been meeting. They've pretty much agreed on some trails. It's a 40-acre property. It goes from behind the. Did you get the pictures I sent, Kelly, in the last email?
I did.
So that's the trails would go down in the woods, which are not pictured. It goes all the way to the water. It's beautiful property. And then we've talked about they're gonna cap the where the driveway is and the parking and probably some of the building footprint that used to be there. And so they wanted me to come up with, and we've talked about courts. They said, what do you need for courts? I said, basketball and then pickleball, tennis. Like, there's no reason to build just pickleball courts. You might as well build tennis. And so if you look at the first picture, that white, I went, I looked up all the dimensions of like an outside basketball court, outside tennis courts, and went and put them all together and then did a Google Maps measurement. And so that white square is exactly how much space it would take to have a basketball court, 2 tennis courts that included 4 pickleball courts.
Wow.
And so the next picture kinda is my vision that I'm gonna give them. I've talked to them about it, where we cap the back parking lot, plant grass, turn it into green space, just a field. You still have some parking. I don't know what we'd do where it says elevated out next to the street. I don't know what they would. It depends how much they wanted to cap. Like, I'm not an architect. I don't know. That's the one part of the property I don't know what I'd do with. But then the court would fit very well up on they did have a engineer come to the last meeting that we've used before, and he said that if you were going to put courts anywhere, put them up where the building was,
Right.
on a hard space. And so I put the courts up there, and then the third picture shows kind of how they would fit. Rough estimates. I took some. Those are the Dirigo Park, the park off 295 in Portland. Those are tennis
Oh,
courts.
those are theirs?
Tennis courts and a basketball court from there. I snipped them, snip art or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, and then fit them clip art, yeah, and fit them to the square.
That works.
Yeah, they wanted a visual, and so that you can see the extra space on each end line of the tennis courts. That allows you to get a pickleball court on each side of the net.
I gotcha.
So there's actually 4 pickleball courts there, and then the basketball court would fit as well. And so that's kind of my vision. We haven't really met, and then the last page is just some dimensions. We haven't really met since this all started, so I kind of wanted you guys' input a little bit on what you'd like to see there. This was what I was thinking.
Does the having these tennis courts here play into 80 Gray at all?
Yeah. So that's why I lumped these all together.
So 80 Gray tennis courts are put in from a grant from,
LWCF, Land and Water Conservation Foundation.
and they always have to be that, or we have to, if we're gonna not turn them
Gotta
into,
replace
if
them.
we're gonna replace them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they're not in good standing. So actually,
Right,
like,
they're not
if
usable
we
right now,
were
so
to
it's like-
apply for a LWCF grant
They'd say no,
now,
thank
they'd
you.
say no because we're not in good standing with them. So we've been working on either, like, those tennis courts are beyond repair. We're not going to fix them. So we either need to build new tennis courts at 80 Gray, maybe
replace them.
Sylvania, or Foster Field was something we talked about too. Little League's run into some financial issues, and they talked to Little League talked to the town. I've had meetings with both about maybe the town taking over Foster Field.
Where would you fit tennis courts there?
You wouldn't. It would.
Okay.
So they don't have to remain tennis courts.
Has
The
to be
grant
like
doesn't
recreation.
require them to be tennis courts. They requires them to be. It requires it to be open public recreation that
Gotcha.
wasn't there before,
Gotcha.
or wasn't town owned, or
So
wasn't
taking
was-
over that
yeah.
ball field.
So
would-
taking over
Like
that ball field would.
Similar, better, bigger
Yep.
area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they have to, the yellow book appraisals have to match, so as long as
Oh.
the ball field, meets or exceeds what the property of the tennis courts, and it's not all of 80 Gray, it's just where the tennis courts is.
Yep.
that could be an option as well. And so I presented that to the select board a bit, and then that was right after the election, so we had talked about Sylvania too. So the select board kind of wanted me and Max, our planner, to come up with some more better numbers on how much each option would cost.
Well, and maybe you'll answer this question and shut this thought down very quickly of mine, but I'm assuming someone has considered the Rex, I mean, that site, like you're talking about, that 40-acre site's gorgeous to me. And I know, I guess the potential for contaminate, or the existence of contamination. Did they do a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental study? I mean,
They've
and a
done-
certain period of time had to pass, and that's why it was finally turned over, right? Because Sylvania had held on to it long enough in order for
Yeah,
them to,
I've only made it to 2 of their meetings. I know they've done tests in the past. I don't. You know more about that stuff than I don't
Yeah.
know much about it. All I know is they said that
you can't disturb the soil on the site,
you
basically.
can't disturb the
That's
soil.
what- yeah.
You can't disturb the soil. There's no, like, we can cap it on top, but
Yep.
we can't really dig down.
That's, okay, that answers my, yeah.
And it can't be used for residential use.
Yep.
And you can't. There's town water there, which is fine, but you can't, like, if there's a stream, you can't drink out of the water. Like, that would be, we'd have to have signage up that says stuff like that.
From a community center perspective, when we were talking about initially, location was our big, you know, like, and that's really tough. Like, that's where we were thinking the rec fields or the Miller School, like, because kids can walk, like,
Yeah.
that's what we were, I mean, a little bit in pipe dream, but that was one of our considerations. Like, that's the only thing about that. Still pretty close to town, which is great, but,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think you got sidewalk going out that far.
So, I
But-
mean, in my head, this is what I see
So-
the trails, maybe something else going on down.
Yeah.
I'm still at the pickleball, never played.
Yeah, pickleball.
Why not turn why not turn one of those courts into 2 lined pickleball courts instead of having 2 tennis courts? That's maybe minor, but like, I mean,
Well, I'm looking, it looks
got
like,
4.
I mean, if you're starting to cap stuff over, I feel like you're underutilizing this space that's there. You know what I mean?
could you do a ball field, soccer field? That's on top.
Yeah, maybe that could be what the green space is.
Yeah, like
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we could,
Yeah.
you know,
That parking, the picture doesn't do it justice. That parking lot is huge.
yeah.
Like-
But I thought about,
There
you know,
was
like
a
a
great-
field.
I was just gonna say, the Lincoln County News had a really great report on the Sylvania Committee's last meeting.
Yep.
It quoted you very heavily, Marcus.
Oh,
But it,
I should
but
read
was
it.
really- No, it was really good. I mean, it explained all the things that Marcus was just saying, and
Alright. Read that.
there's a lot of potential there, and if I recall the numbers correctly from the non-binding referendums that were, put out there in November, there's an awful lot of support for developing this for recreational use in all the ways that Marcus has already discussed, and then some. But if we were to look at this parcel of that property that Marcus has laid out here in this map, and if we start by capping that area and putting in that, isn't that a great place to start? And then the
Absolutely.
rest of it could be a phase 2 and then a phase 3 and on from that.
Yeah.
And once people start coming to that area for pickleball, tennis, basketball, word will spread out, and the support for developing that space even further, i.e. possibly even if we need more money to do that, I think it'd be easier to get support for that.
It's pretty visible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see
It's
a
right on the
soccer
road.
field
Yep.
out back, recreational trails, maybe you could have a playground there, but like Kelly's point, phase 1, I think, is pretty modest, but it
Yeah,
draws
yeah.
attention, gets traffic
Actually,
there, helps,
yeah.
helps gather maybe support for a second phase where you need to.
In my head, this is phase 3. The first phase is just I tell them they started working on trails and then they stopped because they wanted to get it capped. So keep working on the trails. Get the trails done. At least something.
Yep.
Get
And
people
then-
using it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't advertise, just get the trails done so that there's something there once we do get it capped. Because the capping's going to take a while.
Gotcha.
Because you got to go through, you got to get the permits, you got to get the engineer study done or whatever, all that stuff. And then once you get it capped, then we because that's the one nice thing about the LWCF grant stuff is that yes, we're in bad standing, but if we say, hey, we want to be in good standing, we're going to move it from 80 Gray over to here, we can take out another grant through them
Right.
to fix up our bad standing, so to speak.
Gotcha.
And so maybe we can use another grant because
Because you're expanding it, you're not.
Expand, yeah, yeah, it's
you're
bigger.
remediating that and expanding.
Right, and tennis and basketball courts from scratch are not going to be cheap,
Yeah.
especially if we're thinking about building a community center around the same time.
Yep.
So I, get, like I said, get
That's
the trails
hard thing,
done,
too,
get
is
the
having
trails
that-
done,
Having that separate from the community center is
Yeah.
less than ideal too.
right, get the capping done, and then
Well, that part of the reason I asked the question, already kind of assuming I knew the answer, was a whole, right?
Yeah.
Two birds, one, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why
Yeah.
the rec fields, because they need storage.
Is the Sylvania committee developing the plan for development? Are they the ones that are doing, in conjunction, working alongside with you, Marcus, about, how these phases might go?
yeah, this is what I've proposed to them. I don't know how they got like 15 people on their committee. It feels like, and there's about 13 different opinions. So we'll see.
15 people, 13 opinions, that's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. There's some on that committee that still think nobody should be there and we should just turn it back into green space and leave it alone. There's some that see what I see, and then there's some that have some other ideas, and so I'm open to anything. Like I said, this is what I've envisioned because it fits my needs right now. But if I'm open to anything, it's just.
Do they have a deadline, a mandate, or some kind of mandate from the select board to submit a plan for the select board to vote on?
No mandate. They actually came up with their own timeline that was 3 years long.
Oh, good grief.
Yes, that's what I said.
I don't know how long it takes to do this kind of work. Is that longer than what you mean 3 years for them to come up with a plan? Or 3 years for the plan?
3 years.
to be in-
3 years to kind of get everything done. I think, which I don't know. I'd have to look at it again, but it was significant. They were talking about a whole year to just come up with ideas and then have a community meeting on what people wanted to see there, which I urged them was unnecessary because you already had
You already solicited that.
you already had 1,500 people vote on it, and you're not going to get 1,500 people out to a meeting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're gonna get 3 people that probably want solar panels.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get them to pick something and go with it. Maybe it's just this committee and the roadblocks we've hit, but I'm just so tired of going around in circles. I want to get something done.
Do something, right?
Well, take Foster Field, take that over, put
Yep.
your community center there, it's close to Miller. Put your baseball field here behind your tennis courts and your basketball court. Problem solved.
I am not touching Foster Field. Foster Field is the best field there is.
No question.
I told Little League don't
But
sign.
it would make
Yeah.
great space.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right next door to the
downtown for
school,
the
it's
rec
visible,
center.
it's.
I mean, I'm joking, but I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I'm thinking that location
Yeah.
is appealing. If you had a space where you could put another ball field.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's the chair of the Sylvania committee?
I think his name's Mark. I'd have to look at my email. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It seems like things might move a little quicker if the select board were to assign them with a time frame.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Submitting a plan for presentation at a select board meeting.
Yeah, there are at least two select board members on that committee.
Yeah, I think Bob Butler's on it, isn't he?
Yeah, and then
Is Abden on it, or?
not Ab. I think Jan Griesenbrock's been there. I could be wrong on that, but I know Bob has, and Julie was at the last meeting as well. So there's been everyone seems to know what's going on. It's just I'm still learning people's names. Like I said, there's like
With 15 people.
and so it's been
Can we all agree that this committee will never get to be that big? Can we just?
we're seven's our max, and
Good, I like that.
we're lucky if we hit that.
There you go.
So yeah, I just they meet the first Monday of the month or something like that, and so they were gonna reach out about the trails and stuff to like the conservation commission and all that, and then someone had talked about reaching out to the rec committee, and then nobody really stepped up to do that, and I didn't. I just figured I'd bring it to you guys anyways. Maybe they expected me to, but I feel like we should have since it is recreation, we should have
Yep.
somewhat of a say.
Thank you.
So that's why I brought it. So we kind of
I
have.
would say more
there's-
than somewhat of a say. I
Yeah.
would think we should be a little more intimately involved in some of the planning and
should-
decision making.
They should just give it to us to do.
If that's what it's gonna, if that's the intent for it to be used, what it's supposed to be used for,
Yeah.
like, they did their job.
Well, that's
Thank
what the
you
non-binding
for your
resolution
service.
seems to right, isn't that right? The largest number of votes on that non-binding resolution were for recreation, to
Yeah.
develop it for recreation,
Yeah.
not for solar power or any other
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah. It was low impact recreation followed by some other kind of recreation, and all of that blew solar way out of the water.
So then the question automatically does become, why isn't this under the recreation committee's
Yeah,
purview?
why is that committee
And-
still
and, you know,
working?
and there could be a subcommittee of the recreation committee that could be
For that
Part-
specific. Yeah.
planning committee, but for them to be working on their own with you just providing input when asked, I don't understand that.
Thanks for making me feel better, because I've had these thoughts in my head for like 2 months now.
I'm more than happy to pull the thoughts out of your head and say them out loud. I'm sorry, let me rephrase. I'm more
I
than
was
happy
gonna say,
to
that's
pull
the
the
thing.
thoughts out of your
Slippery
head and
slope.
say it out loud.
Julie's on vacation, but when she gets back, I will mention to her that
This
we have a whole committee that's
feels like a rec committee project.
interested. All right.
Yep.
I'm down. So yeah. So anyways, there's kind of 3 different properties, and something's got to happen with kind of all of them. Between 80 Gray, whether at one point we talked about tearing down the tennis courts at 80 Gray and just building them in the middle field where the parking is, as a cheaper option. Foster Field, like getting rid of the tennis courts, knowing that they'd probably get built at Sylvania anyways, and then turning Foster Field into the
Else, whatever.
what is it called? Obligation.
Yep.
Or just turning Sylvania into the obligation. Like there's kind of a bunch of different routes we can go. We'll see. Seems like Little League is kind of taking a little more initiative into raising money lately. Like they've been talking about it a little more. So maybe they can hang on to their own field. I don't know. They just need to take care of it. But we'll see.
Well, the Little League, I mean, a good part of it uses the town fields as well. I'm right.
Yeah, yeah, that was the part of it. I'm their treasurer, and since the pandemic hit them hard, they stopped doing fundraising, they stopped doing concessions, and they kept playing. And so all the, $1,000 for a ton of turfus, $150 a month for porta potties, like that all adds up, and
Equipment.
$35 registration fees don't cover it, and so their bank account just dwindled and dwindled and dwindled, and I kept saying, hey, we got to do something, and nobody did anything, and now they have a concession stand that needs a new door, a new roof, new shingles on the dugouts, and a new backstop, and they don't have any money, and so I talked to them about the town taking it over with the, kind of like Sukforth. We own Sukforth, we take care of it, they play there.
So what would
That's
then,
not an uncommon
would Little
setup.
League then, with the money they raise for registration fees, have to pay to lease or rent? I mean, how is the town going to raise money to?
Yeah.
I mean, is that coming out of tax dollars, or is there going to be
Right,
anything
that
to
was
help
that was
offset?
the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I told the select board when I mentioned it to them. Like, hey, as far as I know, they would still be a charter. They would still have their own. It would become our field, our responsibility, but it would take the work off the volunteers and put it on me, and it would take some of the funding. They would still have stuff they have to pay for. They still
Sure.
got to buy bats and balls and insurance and all that, but they would, the mowing we would take over. The $3,000 to $4,000 a year in field maintenance we would take over.
Right, but
And they would get to use the field and save. It's a pretty good deal for them.
It would be
well,
good.
I guess that's what I'm getting at is.
Yeah. When I
but
proposed
they're-
it to them, they were like,
and-
"Yeah, why not? That sounds great to us."
Right.
And then the select board was like, "Well, I don't know."
Yeah.
But
Well, I get that because you're
Yeah.
taking on an obligation with
Right.
no means of
right.
offsetting any of that
Right.
obligation, right?
And whether it was the intent or not,
Or is there means? I guess that's my question.
I mean, it would just go into the budget, which we can talk about in a
Yeah.
minute. But it's like I said, it's the mowing. The mowing we mow anyways. It wouldn't add that much to the mowing,
Yeah.
and then you got turfus and porta potties, and then the big projects is what fixing the backstop, fixing the concession stand, all that stuff is what would cost a little bit more of money up front. But there's not a. They just happen to have a lot of major projects coming right now.
But that's not to say if you took it over, you still couldn't do
Right.
some
Some fundraising,
fundraising
right.
to help offset some of those costs.
For
right?
sure, for sure.
Volunteers built the
Yeah.
Fourth
Yeah, and that's
concession stand.
yeah. The volunteers these days seem.
I took pictures.
Unless I just not very. Maybe I'm just not very good at asking for volunteers, but it's a
Stuff
hard.
changes.
It's hard to get people
Involvement
to volunteer.
changes. It comes and goes.
And so that's kind of been the talk. I don't know if we take it over or not, and whether the town meant to do it or not. But we built Sukforth Field, and baseball uses it, and so that made Foster Field pretty much into just a softball field, and so then your pool gets split in half, and even worse because numbers have dwindled.
Yep.
And nobody sees it this way, even myself.
Sophia
but
Modi play softball?
yeah,
Oh,
I think. I don't know.
well, that'd be a good shot right there.
It's like in my head a little bit. It's like, well, we're taking care of the field and doing all this stuff for the boys, but not for the girls.
Not
And so
No,
not
that's fair.
it's not it's not fair because it's not our field,
Right.
but it could be, and,
Yeah.
and we could I take care of Foster Field when I can, but it's not my field, so it's last on my list.
Right.
If it was on my list, then it's on the same level as Sukforth, like
Or
I'm not-
higher because it's more visible.
Yeah. It's way more visible.
No, makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where we're at with all three of these. With Sylvania being the biggest question mark right now. Like I said, that committee meets and they were really gung ho, and then they slowed everything to a halt. And I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that question needs to be asked, why we aren't
More
involved or,
I'm with you.
Directly.
Do we need to do anything to ask that question officially? You're gonna ask unofficially?
I'll ask unofficially.
And then if we need to ask it officially, you let us know.
Sounds good. So yeah, there's a lot happening with those three properties, but there's a lot of different ways we could go, but in the end, this is kind of what I see for Sylvania. I'm hoping to get that committee, or if it gets turned over, kind of on board with that. The other phase 4, because there's town water there, splash pad.
Ooh.
I get a lot
Ice
of
rink?
Could I like the ice rink out here?
Yeah, it's closer. in
Yeah,
winter time, you
closer
don't
for
wanna
me in the
be-
winter. I don't have to
right.
drive down there to take care of it. And there's a fire hydrant. Well, not a fire hydrant. I pull water right from here. And
I'm with you.
yeah, this is easy.
Splash
except
pad, no? That's
yeah,
not-
splash pad. Yeah,
It's easy
when it works. Yeah,
When it works.
it's not working right now. But last year it wasn't as bad with the
Right.
Now,
like
last year you had pretty good use.
yeah.
Marcus, I may need some help with the notes on this 5.4 section, because I'm a little unclear exactly what we were reporting on Foster Field, for example. So when I send these notes over to you, if you could take a look at that 5.4 and add in anything that I missed.
Yeah, no problem.
Is that it for old business?
That's what I got.
Excellent, I get to do something. On to new business. Winter update, which I guess was left off of the recreation director's report, which will,
Yeah,
Well, we kinda covered-
Yeah, that
we
was the
kinda
one that
covered
was kind of
the
there.
ice rink.
Ice rink, not so good. Pickleball's doing well. Basketball's
Skiing
gonna
not
be
so
doing well.
good.
Skiing not so
Skiing's
good.
all right.
In the past, we've done. We had a couple years. We did some basketball tournaments.
Oh, yeah, we did want the middle.
Fifth, sixth basketball tournaments. Last year I was gonna bring them back, but at the time I was gonna do it. The high school wasn't allowing spectators at their games, and so I didn't do it. We decided not to, and then like 2 weeks later they decided to allow spectators because you can't make money at a tournament if there's no spectators. And baseball ended up doing a 5th-6th tournament for as a fundraiser for their Florida trip this spring.
Yep.
And they said they were going to do it again this year. He said, but he thinks the real money was in middle school tournaments. Well, I think they're still going to Florida, but that guy is no longer the baseball coach.
Correct.
So I don't know if they're still doing it, and it's getting pretty late for this year, but it's something I'd maybe like to think about again next year. It's just,
Well, if you were interested, I've been kicking the idea around about hosting a 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th I don't have the time to do it myself, but
That's the hard part. So the first year I did it, Greg Knight's daughter was in it, and Greg did a lot.
Yep.
And he got it. I think it was the Hutchins. They
Garrett
just
and Nina,
yeah.
they're,
Well, just the
Darren,
mom, the
Nina,
mom and the
Nina,
dad. Yeah,
yeah.
whatever. I can't remember the names, but they
Darren.
literally just sat at the score table all weekend.
Yep.
So I didn't have to find people to do that, and they ran concessions, and it was
I'm sure I could get volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what it takes. You need like 20 volunteers to run a tournament.
and I've got a list of tournaments we're looking at and weekends and this, that, and the other. So
Yep.
Anyway, if it might not be too late if you had any interest to try and throw something together, I would.
They still do that website with all the tournaments
Yep.
listed, like Waterville Parks and
Yep.
Rec or something. I'll,
Yep.
I'll go on and look tomorrow. And see
Well,
if
I
there's-
flirted with the idea of trying to pull it off myself with trying to get volunteers, but I'm just stretched too thin. But
But
Yeah.
but 1 week and not 1 week every month, 1 weeknight
Yeah.
a month was going to be too much.
that was
work.
going to be too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot, but we made good money the last time we did it. We partnered with I ran one with you and
Yep.
one with the girls that year, and then the girls the year before.
Yep.
And you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, when we did the boys and the girls, some of the boys' parents didn't like we bought pizzas and stuff and sold, and they didn't make that much money. And the girls' parents, they brought casseroles and all kinds
That's
like
how you clean. Yeah.
and they cleaned house.
Yep.
And we split the money 50-50 between the rec and the Madomic youth basketball boys and we split it all, and it was a good
I
money
like-
maker for
I
us.
like the partnership aspect.
Yeah,
of it too.
yeah, and we work with them, and it gives us a local tournament.
Yep.
I did.
Well, John used to do one over in Moore, and
Yeah.
I haven't heard that he's doing one.
Right.
I don't know.
His March Madness one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would
Yeah.
be nice. I'm not sure Wiscasset's doing one. I haven't heard. I'm not certain. CLC was what I heard from them is they were hoping to do one. weren't sure about weekend.
Yeah.
So they're but other than that, we're going down to St. George. But then you go Bath, Brunswick Way, or
Yeah.
Central Maine.
Yeah.
There isn't a ton on the coast, so I think you could.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a need. Or,
Okay. Yeah,
potentially.
I'll look at that website and see if there's any weekends that
March
work.
is usually pretty busy.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Is
Yeah.
either it's into April, which
Yeah,
is
April's
when things are
April's
winding
too late
down,
because
yeah,
I'm in full little league mode.
which puts
and-
you in.
and
sometime
February-
in February.
February's
past
probably
the
too
coast.
early. That's what we did. The first year I only ran one because I just did the girls. The boys, I asked the boy. I think it was even Matt's. Gabe was like a 5th, 6th grader then, and Matt was like, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. And so we just did a girls, and I can't remember what weekend we did. I think it was early, but it worked out, or it was late. It was super late, and it worked out fine. And then the year I did yours, I did back-to-back weekends with the boys and the girls, and I overlapped. I think I did boys, and then girls, and then Rockland did boys when I did girls,
Yep.
and we had some referee conflicts,
Yeah,
and that was hard.
and that's going to be a struggle. I mean, they can't
Yeah.
find refs across the
Yeah.
board right now, so
Right.
that's.
So we'll see. Side note, Brunswick sent me their stuff for their tournament, and I sent it on to Nick.
Yeah, I've
So-
got it.
Okay, perfect.
I got to mail it in tomorrow with a
Alright.
check. I'm pretty sure we're going to go. That was the 7-8 stuff, right?
I don't know.
Or was that younger?
I don't know.
I think I've got one of each. I think both
Okay.
groups.
Yeah,
I
it
think
came
we
in the
take
mail
both.
yesterday,
Yep.
and I forwarded it on to Ryan and Nick.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's the only winter thing that we've done in the past that I haven't got around to this year.
Yep. Well, like if it doesn't work out this year and maybe
Yeah.
another year,
Yeah.
we could start our discussion maybe early on.
Yeah.
A late February, mid to late February date to me would be great because there's no issue finding stuff in March.
Yeah.
You can't find much in February, and then like I said, by April it's winding down. So
Yeah.
that would be my advice to you: is try and do something mid to late February and get out ahead of the game. Because,
Yep.
Yep.
Sounds
That's tough. You got school vacation week right there.
Yeah. I think when we
But-
did it before, it was the last week of
Last
February.
week of
Yeah.
February, there aren't a ton
Yeah.
of tournaments that weekend, so that would be a good one. And maybe we could pull. I don't know. I'm not opposed to discussing whether we could pull one off this year or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look, but we'll see. All right. that's kind of it for winter. Like I said, most of that was in the report. Budget discussion. We've always talked about doing this, and I've never. Every time we meet, it's like, oh yeah, we already did that. But actually, I just submitted this to Julie the other day, and it hasn't gone out to the budget committee yet. So, if you think there's anything that's weird, or maybe we need to add something or take something out, we can talk about it, and I can resubmit it to Julie. But it doesn't change a whole lot from year to year.
So have everything you need?
Have everything I need. So we actually have a little bit of a decrease this year, but it's
It wasn't
Based
much.
on,
based on my health insurance.
Gotcha.
Last year we budgeted for a whole family, thinking my wife was going to lose her job, and she got a different one, and so we didn't end up using it. So they added that in last year, and then I took it out.
Such a microcosm of that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
now, is part of that covered by the rec department, part of it through other departments though, where,
What
I
do you
mean, I see you've got 20 hours a week here, but you work,
20 hours a week.
is that what the director's 52 weeks at 20 hours per week?
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
Yeah, I guess that's. I don't know where that came from. I work 36 hours a week,
Gotcha.
so.
All
Was
right.
that left over from last year? Because it
Yeah.
changed. It changed in
Yeah.
July. It changed. I remember you saying it changed in July or something.
Yeah, no,
we-
it hasn't. It's been a few years now. Like this will be my. I was 40 when the pandemic hit. I think they took us down to. I think they took me down to 16
For rec.
for rec, but then I was town clerk.
Right.
And then post pandemic, I went back up. Everyone went back up to 32 the first year, and then we went to 36 the next year, and then we've stayed there.
It might not be a bad idea for you to update that 20
Yeah.
hours a week
Yeah.
before it
Well,
goes
depending on
any-
what you want to do.
Yeah. Do I get paid the same for 20 hours?
Well, if you got paid the same, hey, more power to you.
Right.
Yeah, I actually.
It doesn't look like it's written that way. so-
Yeah, and this isn't what the budget committee sees, so they wouldn't see that anyways.
Well, that caught my eye. I
Yeah.
brought it up because I remembered once having a
Yeah.
conversation to that effect where you said, "Oh, they cut me back in rec and
Yeah.
they've got me elsewhere," and
Yeah.
that's how I'm.
Yeah, I actually, because they cut me back to 16, I actually don't think that 20 is me. I actually think that's Kyle way back in the day,
Ah.
because when
It's
he
that far back.
when
Because he was 50,
he was
he was EM
he was
he was-
40, but then he did
Right.
EMS. But
Right.
then when the Y came in, they cut him back to 20 because he was going to go work for the Y or something. And so I think that's what that 20's for. So I think that's been in there like 8-9 years. Nobody's ever changed.
Awesome.
But I can.
Where's the budget for the summer camp and the
Last,
personnel?
very last.
Nope.
No, wait.
No,
where is it?
it's,
I saw
uh,
summer camp on here.
Yeah. So this is my budget. My what is it called?
Operating budget.
Your operating
It's
budget?
operating. It's operating
Troy
budget, but
would've
it's
known.
my tax. What do they call it?
EBITDA?
It's it's my budget that comes from taxes.
Oh.
I have another account called my enterprise account that all my revenues go into,
Okay.
and the summer camp is run entirely through my revenues.
I thought summer camp was on. No, it was the senior citizen.
Yeah, see, the senior citizen
trip
the
is
senior
on.
citizen trip is the only program run through the budget.
Okay.
So
All the other
everything
All
else,
the
soccer,
all my other
basketball,
programs
Self-support.
goes
Yeah.
through the enterprise account.
Yeah. So
Because they raise.
But
Right,
this is
'cause
the-
they raise-
This is taxpayer funded.
this is taxpayer funded budget.
Gotcha.
And so they don't pay for any of the programs. The programs are all user funded. I'm working on summer camp. I can't seem to quite get it there because it keeps getting more expensive. I went to the full day thing a few years ago, and it cut down on how much I lost, except this past year it went back. On average, my co-ed softball makes a ton of money. Youth soccer makes a fair amount. Basketball makes a good amount. Pickleball's starting to make money. Little League is its own, like they have their own board. I don't get any of their money. Summer camp loses money, but my other programs typically make up for it. I generally break even.
But if you,
Is it loose money because you have a lot of low-income families who participate who get assistance?
It's a mix. So I think last year I was severely under the average for registration fees last year.
You went up the price, right? You had talked to
So
some
I
folks.
I talked to some people. Do you want me to cut out? So do you want me to cut out field trips, or do you want me to charge more? And so I mean I got mixed reviews and results. A lot of the programs around here charge a lot more than I do. Rockland was significantly higher. I talked to Benji over at Penn Bay, or Penn, not
Yeah, I'm with you.
wherever he is.
He's in
Rockland
Ro-
YMCA.
he's in Rockland.
Yeah,
Rockland Y,
Rockland
whatever.
Y. He was a good $40 a week higher per kid than I was.
Right, but if you look at Rockland's economic demographics, it's very different from ours.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, especially with times being as difficult as they are, and not knowing what the economy is going to be like in the summer. I mean, the opportunity for children who come from families who are struggling right now to participate, if we can subsidize, if we can support a lower cost for that by bringing in money from pickleball and these other places, I think that serves the community beautifully.
Yep, and it's fine. Like I said, in the last year, I ran a report the other day. In the last year, I think I'm down $500, and I'm up over $5,000 from where I was when I took that account over when I started.
And I don't know if this is even possible, but I'm thinking of the room that you're sitting in right now. When I came in December to bring off the gifts for the family that we were sponsoring, and that room, you literally, there was nowhere to walk. It was filled with toys and gifts that the community had brought in and donated for, I don't know how many different families, lots of families.
Yep.
The community would post up for something like this too.
Yep.
And I think there is absolutely, unless there's a reason why you can't do it, maybe you could work with Julie to send some of those out to, the same families who contribute every year and adopt another family every year. Maybe they'd be willing to help sponsor a child to participate with this.
Yep.
Waldeboro just never ceases to amaze. I think we have such good people here who want to support and lift up members of the community who are often overlooked. Let's take advantage of that goodwill. People can always say, no, I can't give, but it doesn't hurt to ask, does it?
Yeah. No.
could you set up some sort of scholarship program
Yeah.
where you get funding?
Yeah, that's
and-
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that might be in the future. We might have to. Like I said, the other avenue that departments have gone, Bangor Parks and Rec charged about the same as I did last year. They took 2 or 3 field trips total. We took 2 field trips a week.
Yeah.
So it's do I want? I left the field trips in like, hey, let's make this fun because I was trying to get the numbers up. I got the numbers up. We were almost full last year. We had 1 week that was full. The other ones were real close, which was great because we haven't had those numbers before. With those numbers came more staff and more more cost. And I couldn't get a bus driver from the school. I had to use a private company, which
That's
cost
right,
me more.
that costs.
I took 45 kids to Funtown for the day, and it cost me. I mean, that was a $3,000 day to send those kids down there and back and get them into the park. It's just expensive to run. I'm not trying to make money off the camp. I just don't want it to be as big of a hindrance as it's been, where I make $6,000 throughout the year with all my other programs, and then that program costs me $6,000. It'd be nice to build up that enterprise account so I could do other things. Soccer goals need replacing. Oh, I don't need to put it in the budget. I can just buy them. You know what I mean? Just building that up a little bit. I don't need. It's ebbed and flowed. When I took that account over, Kyle had about $12,000 in it. I've been doing this 6 years. My work anniversary was Monday.
Oh, good.
And
Congratulations.
it's up to $17,000. Like it's, you know, like I
Wonder
said,
how long I've been working for the rec department.
I don't know, probably almost as long.
What if it was
12,
possible, and I know Dusty mentioned a scholarship fund, which I think is a good idea, but it also seems like you might be able to put together a trip fund of some kind, you know, if people contribute to a fund that is designed to help supplement the
Yeah.
trips that are part of this, then that takes some of the cost off of it. The families don't have to pay for it, and the rec department doesn't have to cover that cost too. The community is supporting the community.
Yeah,
And you may not get more than $500, maybe $1,000, but that's $1,000 you wouldn't have to take out of your budget.
right. Yeah.
I think, you know, like I said, unless Julie knows far better than I do, or Karen, I mean, you know, you don't want to go to the same people over and over and over again, because then you will turn them off.
Yeah,
I get that completely.
Yeah.
But there's new people living here now. There's new young families living here now. I've met a lot of them, and there are a lot of retirees who've moved here now who have the ability to make contributions.
Yep.
You know, let's expand. You know, I'll stop.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's something I've thought about a lot. The hard part was summer, and I know it's a completely different organization. Little League does pretty well at fundraising. They have to. So I'm the one that actually sends out their letters. I send out letters to almost every business in town asking for money in February, and then for me to turn around and send it for the rec in April, it's like bam, bam, I'm hitting them
Yeah.
twice. That's why I've never done it, is because I feel like I'm picking on the same people all the time. But maybe it's something I need to do. They did come out. I've been toying with this. It scares me. It's a lot of extra work. But the child care subsidy program.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Why you get certified?
So they've come out with grant opportunities. If I sign up to be eligible to take child care subsidy, they'll give me $1,000 grant. If I become a fully licensed child care facility, they'll give me $10,000, which would be fantastic and is a ton of money. But there is so much paperwork, red tape, and stipulations that come with being a child care facility that a recreation department of one probably can't.
Well, I was gonna
It's
ask,
prohibitive, yeah.
you get that $10,000, but at what cost, right?
Yeah,
What
a
is it gonna
lot
cost?
of,
That's-
like, all my hair.
That's going anyway.
You don't want to do that.
I mean,
do you?
literally, what?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to it, a lot of rules, and I'm not like, this is maybe a bad example. A few years ago, we had a girl, or a social worker called, said, hey, I have a girl with Down syndrome that she needs a place for the summer. Is there any way you can take her? It's like, gee, you know, how is she? I know there's my brother-in-law has Down syndrome. I know there's different levels. Oh, she's pretty high functioning. I think she'd be able to take care of herself. And I was like, okay, like, we'll give it a shot, see how it works. I even worked out, like, she was from out of town, so I couldn't give her a scholarship, but we worked out that she could come just a couple days a week when they really needed her to save them some money. And she showed up, and she was nonverbal, and my staff was not equipped for that. It really, it was dangerous at times. And when you take child care subsidy, you can't turn people away. You have to take them. And my staff's at this moment not equipped to do that all the time.
Those are all very valid points. You don't want to take on a challenge you can't live up to.
Right.
You don't.
While $10,000 seems nice.
Right.
But like I said, I don't need to make money. If I could just stop losing as much if I could just break even with this program, I would be ecstatic, because then all that money I raise for my other programs would be building up. And because we don't have a scholarship program. I have a scholarship application, and it was always no questions asked, and the word kind of got out on that. So I put out an actual application, but I didn't really turn anybody away. And so I had a lot of kids that got $1,000 camp for free, because
Whether they needed it or not,
because
See,
I'd kind of
that's-
set an example. So I am taking a playbook from the YMCA this year. They gave me their criteria. Like, it's a little bit more of an involved application, but hey, you make this much money, you pay this
Should be.
much.
That's the way it should be, though.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm not going to go down that
Yeah,
rabbit hole.
I think I was a little too
The
nice.
Trevor side.
I was a little too nice, and I gave away a little too much. And
That seem, if the Y's doing it, I think
Yeah.
you're more than safe to
yeah,
go.
and they don't
go
give
down
away
that road.
any more than 50%. Like if
Right, that's the max.
that's the max. I was
yeah.
giving away 100%.
I am all for helping people that are down and out and need a helping hand.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people out there that are getting that helping hand that don't necessarily need it. So
Yeah.
if you've
I
got
don't
a
think there's anything wrong with having income, an income requirements to this. I don't.
Yeah.
not at all.
But as long as the income is realistic,
Yeah.
I mean, a family of four surviving on 50 grand a year is a family that needs some support. 50,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it's just not anymore.
Not this year.
No.
No.
So, I guess we would just, if you've got a model to follow from the Y,
I do.
like Dusty was saying,
Yeah.
that's tried and true, and that's, what, I'm sorry, was this the Y in Damascata, or the?
Yeah. Karen Ann Hager Smith. She works here.
Yeah.
She works here. She works there too. She got me all their paperwork, and it might change year to year based on whatever the median salary or whatever all that stuff is. But I can get the new stuff, and it goes along with the free lunch.
Right. Yeah.
Or free,
Completely reasonable in my view.
yeah, I think, like I said, I think I just need to put a little more structure to that, and that will help. That will help a fair bit.
Maybe not cut the trips 100% or even 50%. Throttle back a
Yeah,
touch.
we did 2 field trips a week. One was a local swimming trip. I tried to make them as free as possible. Like
Right.
the most expensive one was like
Yeah, with the
Damascata Lake, $50.
Transportation, gotcha.
Yeah, transportation. We
So we need a bus.
yeah. So I expected the school to go. So two years ago we used the school, and Ernie charged me bus driver salary plus mileage. And it came out to like $2,000 for the summer for the bus.
Right.
This past year, I had to use a private company. They couldn't even fill their own slots at the
Yep.
Right.
with the buses, and it was $7,000 for the bus. I expected the school to go up when diesel went up. I wouldn't be surprised if the school was $4,000, but it went from
Two
two,
to
probably 4 to 7,
Yeah.
and so there go. When I lost $1,000 the year before, tack on 4, now I've lost 5. And I had a lot more staff this year because I had a lot more kids.
Yep.
But and I had a lot more kids on scholarship. Scholarship, as in
Right.
I eat it.
But the basis for the scholarship was basically say, if you tell me you want it for free, you're
Yeah.
gonna get it for
Yeah,
free.
yeah. I made them.
address
I made them
that.
fill out an application. It used to just be.
Give me your name and you get it for free.
Yeah,
more or less.
pretty much. I thought the application would turn away the people that really didn't need it, and it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't mind filling out a piece of paper for $1,000 camp. Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad. Back to the budget.
We might want to look at this again.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much the same as always been. I left recreational supplies. Most of our supplies come out of the enterprise account. That money was in there for the ice rink liner. I don't really know if I'm gonna need a new one or not, but it didn't seem like it would hurt to leave it in there, and maybe something else would arise that we really needed.
Yeah.
And then the paint supplies, it went down a little bit just because I just rounded it off. That was money that was in there for the backstop last year. We fixed the backstop. It's been in there for 2 years. We put it in for the backstop. The backstop didn't work out. We ended up needing to do the outfield fences at the rec fields.
Yep.
So we did that. Last year we left it in there, did the backstop. So I knocked a little bit off, but we just got some other projects around that need some tidying up, so I kind of left that in there. Nothing major like a backstop, but just
Well, but if you end up taking on Foster,
If I end up-
any money like that would be right.
Backstop 80 gray.
That's exactly
80
one of the
gray.
reasons I left it in
Yeah.
there.
80 gray field.
80 gray.
Yep.
And then, 80 gray. 80 gray needs a new backstop too. So maybe it is backstop.
And dugouts if you want to have little league games there.
Yep.
They're
All.
supposed to be behind fences.
Yep. All my.
Is that a possibility? Is that a thought?
What?
doing Little League games at over at 80 grand?
No, I put in permanent basis. I'd like to get back to doing at least T-ball games up there. I haven't done
I
T-ball
had a
games.
T-ball game there last year.
Last year?
I think so. I think just one.
Maybe I did them. They used to do it all the time, but the bases
Right.
were never in the ground, and it always scared me that some
Yeah.
kid was going to roll their ankle.
Yeah.
So I put in permanent bases. It's a pretty tight infield, like
Well,
60 feet to first base.
They shrunk it down.
And 62
Yeah.
feet is the outfield grass. Like, we really ought to cut that back. I got ideas for that place, but that's
Right, yeah.
that's like
That's-
Sylvania.
right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's nice not playing soccer games on the infield now too.
right.
Because we used to.
I think you
overlap.
could. I think you could cut that infield out another 10 feet and make
Still
it
be fine.
and still be out of the baseball or
Out of
out
the
of the
soccer
soccer field.
field,
I'd have to look. It'd be pretty close, but I think it would be out.
Close is fine.
Yeah, not in. Yeah. Yeah, hey, I played soccer at Lincoln Academy in high school, and their pitcher's mound was in the middle of the soccer field.
Tee it up.
Not even kidding.
I don't have any other questions about this particular budget. Do you also share the enterprise budget with does that go to the budget committee as well?
Nope. They don't know anything about that.
Well, they probably know about it, but it's not taxpayer funded, so they don't have to approve it, so.
Correct. Yeah. Some of the other departments, like EMS, their revenues go back into the budget to offset budget costs, and then they get in trouble when they don't meet their revenues because they don't have enough budgeted. And so this enterprise saves me from having to guesstimate how much money I'm going to make,
Yep.
and yeah, it works out really well. And 95% of rec departments in the state use an enterprise account. And it works really well for rec. So I'd like to keep it
Especially
that
where
way.
numbers.
Yeah.
You're dealing with kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all over the place.
Exactly. All my land maintenance stuff, I'm waiting on quotes from them. They told me they were quoting everybody 13%, so all those numbers are 13% higher. The senior citizen bus trip I left the same. It's one of these days I'd like to up it. The buses aren't getting too much more expensive.
I'm saying you're going to need to at some point.
At some
right?
point, yeah. We're always like $1,700 for a bus, depending on where we go.
Right.
But it seems like we're running out of ideas, and so like a few years ago, I went over budget on the bus trip because we did the Sunga River Queen, and
Yeah.
it costs money to get on the ferry boat. But there's like I said, there's other line items in here that, it's a whole budget, not a single line. So I was able to make it work.
You can rob Peter to
But-
pay Paul.
Right. But that's one I'd like to increase in the future. I just never have. It used to be like 1,700, and then the buses started costing 1,700, so I stopped.
Well, on this, I think the main thing would be to correct that line item for director, so
Yeah.
that, you're not asking them to approve a budget that has a unit cost assigned to it at only 20 hours a week and cut your hours
Yeah.
in half.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I want to update that.
Yeah. Like I said, they don't see this. The Peg and Julie put up a whole different piece of paper, so the only person that's going to see this is Julie. But I'll go in and delete it. The only other major increase, and I can't find it, was porta potties.
Middle of the second
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, so that went up a fair amount, because porta potties went up a fair amount, but also, this kind of goes along with Little League struggles, but we've always charged Little League Little League's always paid for the porta potty at Sukforth Field. And we pay for the one at Bagley and at 80 Gray. And
So Little League pays for Foster.
Little
and
League pays
so
for
forth?
Foster, Sukforth, and Friendship.
Friendship.
And I guess my argument is if Little League says, nope, we're not going to pay for it, I would still want a porta potty there. And so I would just pay for it anyways. So I added another porta potty into the budget. So that's three budget. It's the budget for porta potties doubled, but I added a whole nother porta potty, and the price I was under budgeted last year because they skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah.
They went from like 120 to 150 a month. So that's
Giddy up.
that's it. So we'd be paying for all, they still pay for the one at Foster Field at the field they own, but I think we can pay for the
Sukforth.
Sukforth because it's at our facility, and I would want one there even if they didn't have a season because we get people coming there all the time.
And it saves you, I say, probably well worth it.
Yeah, well worth it. So,
Save you the trouble of.
so yeah, that's my budget. So, like I said, anything outside of that 52 or 20 hours a week, that's what I'm presenting. And
Giddy
like I
up.
said, it's the decrease in health insurance makes it look like a decreased budget. So
Right.
they probably won't give me much flack. All right. Spring summer preview.
Talked about summer camp.
Yeah, we talked about summer camp already. Spring is just Little League
Little
season
League.
and getting ready for summer. I'm going to start reaching out to my staff from last year and seeing who wants to come back, who doesn't, and try to get my staff nailed down early.
Remember that and transportation was kind of the biggest struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, we've been here a
Spring,
while.
spring, summer preview would be summer camp, and then
Yeah, Little League and summer camp are the two major ones. Little League, I'm still on there. I'm their treasurer, so I'm hoping for a good season where I don't have to worry about money too much, because hopefully they're planning on a couple of big fundraisers. So I'm hoping it works out.
Such a pain in the butt, but so necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, if they don't raise money, they're gonna be in trouble. So. And then, like I said, we've been talking about summer camp. That's full go. Try to get most of my staff back. Maybe get a few more adults in there. I always had high school kids as counselors. It's really nice to have adults as counselors, but you got to pay them more, which brings up the money. It's
Yep.
a vicious cycle.
you get volunteers.
Not really. Every once in a while, we'll get a volunteer that will want to come in and do face painting or something like that,
Oh, I
but it's
see.
not to actually hang around and watch. And they have to be CPR certified and all that. And I have to have a ratio, like I have to keep a 10-to-1 ratio. And so if they're not staff, I don't think they'd count towards that. So it's,
Oh, right.
yeah.
When will you start recruiting staff and also opening up applications for summer camp?
Yeah, I'm gonna start talking to staff in the next month or so. I'm gonna talk to the staff I had last year, see who's coming back, what positions I might need to fill, and then start putting it out there for new applicants. And then I'm probably hoping to have registrations for summer camp open by March, which is a lot earlier than I have had in the past, but the earlier everyone else opens that early. I waited last year because the school wouldn't give me approval to use the school, and it kind of bit me, especially on the staff end. So I think I'm not gonna wait. I'm just gonna do it. And
Can we get that? No. What do we have?
Well, that way you don't lose campers to other camps.
yeah,
What?
yeah. So,
Should school be a problem? It should be.
I don't
less of a
think
problem this year,
it should be. They should allow it. I don't remember. There was something they were gonna do a playground, and they had something going on in the kitchen or something.
Oh, that's right. They did
So
the
he-
kitchen rehab last year.
Yeah, so he wouldn't approve it right away, and so I kept waiting and waiting, and I never did the staff, and I never opened registrations because I wasn't sure we were gonna have it. I think I'm just gonna do it and say, hey, staff, you're hired as long as we have camp.
Right.
I mean, we could get to July 1st, and they could, or June 17th, or whenever the election is, and they could vote down the rec budget, and they're gonna be out of job anyways, because I'm gonna be out of job. But yeah, and just contingent on that we have it, I
Yeah.
guess. But I can't wait that long again.
Yep.
It was a mad rush to get staff and everything filled out. So I had like 30 campers signed up, and I was almost ready to turn people away because I didn't have staff, and then I had more come in. So
All right.
yeah.
So keep that on the update for the next meeting,
Okay.
because that's
Yeah, that's
it's
the
a
big one.
community-funded school. We seem to forget that quite a bit. In
Yeah.
Warren, it's real nice in the gym. Warren Community School. It's kind of right there, front and center. Little plaque out there as to how the floor in that gym was put down, who put it there. So, Anywho.
Well, the items for the next upcoming agenda, what would those include? Will we
I-
maybe have enough on Sylvania committee, things like that,
I
or?
think it stays pretty much the same,
Okay,
right? I think just everything's
Everything's back.
except budget and
Yeah.
I mean, we keep spring, summer on there just from a
Yeah.
summer camp update perspective. That's
Yeah.
about it. I
That's-
don't have
summer
anything
camp's the
new.
big one for the whole year. It's my biggest program by
Yeah.
far. So.
Kelly, you have anything new you want to potentially talk about next time?
no, I mean, I think
Looking
it'd be
at-
good to get an update on that Sylvania committee.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'd say that needs to stay.
Yeah, but that's still on there, so
Yeah.
just in the current agenda items, except for there won't be winter, well, I mean, I guess the winter update would probably come in the rec committee.
Yeah, winter. I mean, it'll be February, so we'll be talking about how K2 basketball's going, and that's about it.
Thank you for sending
Ski
this
club.
out like a week earlier this time because
Yeah.
you that
Yeah.
was awesome.
My goal is to send it out the Thursday before the meeting, but and I did this time because I really wanted to have this meeting. Hence, we're here
That
in a
worked.
snowstorm.
That worked.
But
Worked for me.
yeah, but other times it's been like, oh, we're probably not going to meet anyways, so
Oh, right, yeah.
I'll
That's-
send it out on Monday. But
Dusty, anything you wanted to add or we're expecting to see?
No, I think
Giddy up.
cool beans.
Then number 7, if
7.
someone would like to make a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor? You
I'm
raise your
sorry,
hand.
who seconded it? I couldn't
Dusty
hear.
did.
Okay,
Did you raise your hand?
I did.
Awesome. Good job.
Well, I look forward to meeting you in person at next month's meeting.
I think, yeah,